Welcome everyone. I'm Jed Shlackman. I work as a counselor as well as a hypnotherapist and energy healer. And for this video I want to speak about emotions, in particular about how we process emotional overwhelm or an emotional shock, and looking at this from an energetic perspective, since emotions are a form of energy in motion. They're part of this feedback system between our consciousness, between our mind and our body. So they're a big part of our life, and we all go through different times where we might feel overwhelmed in some way by what we're experiencing emotionally. And I'd like to give you some insight into practices or tools you can use to more effectively process or handle those waves of emotion so that you don't become overwhelmed by them, so that you can integrate them into your experience and perhaps use emotions in a more productive way, where you can use them to build self-awareness, to gain guidance, and to not be caught up in kind of an overwhelmed state where you retreat from life because you're overwhelmed by emotions. So let's think about how emotions impact us physically. You can think of an example, let's say, of a heartbreak where you feel kind of like a shock to your heart. You can actually feel it kind of physically. You feel the rapid heartbeat. You might feel your breath being pressured or constricted in some way. So there's this physical set of symptoms or effects that occur as a result of that wave that actually originates on the emotional level. You could think of that as being deeper out into your energy field, into your aura or field of light that surrounds your body. So the emotions are these waves that actually exist in multiple levels of your energy field. So it might originate on what you could label the emotional body level, but because it's this wave that's radiating, it can go out into the mental level, it can go deeper in toward your physical body, and in general that's what it does. That's why we have effects or symptoms physically when we have a strong emotion. It affects your pulse, your heart rate, your body might sweat, you might feel stimulated, you might feel depleted. So different things are happening with your energy as it ripples into the physical level and affects your body. We can also think of situations where we have anxiety and your stomach or gastrointestinal system might feel tight or tense. You might have something going on there. It could affect your digestion. So it's something we can kind of logically and tangibly experience and understand, that the emotional energy waves are coming in through our body, especially when they're very intense, when they are not restricted to just that emotional level, but they actually radiate out and go through our body. So let's think about how we are processing and handling emotions, how our energy system is able to allow those emotions to flow or not. Are they coming through and releasing and dissipating, or is something creating a resistance, a block in that flow, causing those emotions to be somehow kind of stuck or trapped somewhere in our energy field or somewhere in our body. So if we think of our body as this conduit for energy to flow like an electrical circuit, as the energy comes through our body, it can go pretty much everywhere. It can radiate up through our head, up through what we call the crown, the upper energy center or the high chakra. It can also go down. It can ground itself, going all the way down through the so-called root, down our legs and down through our feet to the earth. So the earth is another energetic construct that we are each connected to. And when energy waves come through us, we can't allow them to go all the way down through our body, through the bottom part or lower part of our energy field, and be grounded actually into the earth, just like a lightning bolt coming down from the sky grounds itself into the earth. So that excess energy, it's discharged and it's absorbed by the earth. And that can occur with our own emotions. That emotional energy wave can be discharged as it goes down through our body and grounds into the earth. So it's like we have this intense emotion and it goes through us and it releases so that we don't have to feel overwhelmed by it. Many people find that when they have a lot of intense emotion going on, they can go out in nature somewhere and allow that extra energy to be released and absorbed by some of the elements of the earth. So someone might go into a forest or a park. They might have their feet bare and touching the ground directly. They might go touch or hold onto a tree. There are people who like to go to the beach. They might put their feet in the ocean surf there at the beach and let the waves wash over their feet and let that energy be absorbed by the ocean. So those are a couple ways you can use the earth to help ground, to allow that energy to come through and be absorbed. Another valuable resource or practice is working with your breath. Your breath is bringing waves of energy into your body and into your aura, your energy field, and helping that energy field actually expand in a sense. So as you kind of charge up and expand your energy field, you have more capacity to handle or embrace any emotions that arise. So you're expanding your energetic capacity so that you can receive or absorb those emotions more safely and effectively in a sense. So they're not overwhelming you, so that you can allow them to kind of radiate out and not overload some part of your body. So if your heart is feeling overwhelmed, you can breathe deep and imagine that your aura is expanding, stretching out further so that you can actually have that extra energy present there so that it's not creating too much pressure on your heart or some other part of your body where that energy might flow. So doing longer, deeper breaths to help your energy field open and expand is a helpful tool to help you process and handle emotions. The more often you do that, the longer you do it, the more you're expanding your capacity to handle strong energies, any intense emotions that you might encounter. Another way to help expand your energy field and energetic processing capacity or emotional processing capacity is working with sound vibration, especially working with your voice. with doing some type of chanting, singing, or toning. So when you use your voice and you're resonating those sound waves through your body, it's also going through your energy field, through your emotional body, so helping those energy fields open and expand. And that also allows you to move those waves of emotion through you so they don't get stuck, they don't get constricted or bottled up somewhere in your energy system. You'll notice that when people sing, they are often using singing as a way of expressing emotion. Singing can express sadness, excitement, and passion. It can express anger and frustration. So people create songs and tones in their voice to express those different emotional states. And it's a helpful way to release it so that that emotion is being resonated through you. It's coming out through your mouth, through your voice, and therefore not getting trapped or stuck in your body or in your aura. So the emotions need to come through to flow, to come out in some way. Some people use artistic expression. They use their visual skills or talents. So they're creating art or sculpture, drawing or creating something that's an expression of their feelings, of their emotions. So that's another tool that can be useful. Using writing is another method. Some people like to write in a journal. Some people do creative writing. They write stories or novels, things that present their thoughts and feelings in some form of story. So it's not being held within themselves. They're expressing it in a way where it can be shared with other people. In terms of how our physical body is allowing energy to move through it, there are some practices that people use to help kind of center or reconnect their energy when they have been stressed or traumatized. Some of these methods are called bilateral stimulation, where you're doing something that activates the energy channels on both sides of your body and kind of connects them together. So even just doing something like putting your hands together or crossing them like that, it helps get the energy circulating between both sides of your body. So in different energy psychology techniques or practices, you'll often see bilateral stimulation used. It can also involve the eyes, so not just connecting your body parts together from one side to the other, but activating both sides of your brain using your eye focus as a form of bilateral stimulation. So if you use your eyes to look to the left and then to the right, and you might be seeing the mirror image of me, but just to give you the idea, it's one side and then the other side. By doing that, you're causing both sides of the brain to remain active, to not have them split off from each other, to not be caught in a fight or flight mode where one side shuts down while the other side is overstimulated. We don't want to be stuck in that state. We want to be able to use all of our energy, all of our resources to process and respond to our environment. So anything you do that kind of gets the two sides of your physical body reconnected will help connect those brain hemispheres, which connects your conscious mind and subconscious mind. And therefore you won't be caught in a state where you can't think, where you're just reacting impulsively. You'll be able to recenter yourself. So even though you might be feeling strong emotion, it's not going to overwhelm you and prevent you from being able to think and form some rational response to whatever the situation might be. So we don't want to have just half of our body able to receive the flow of energy. We want our whole body engaged, able to work with all that energy. So the bilateral stimulation could involve your visual sense. It could involve the kinesthetic aspect, so the physical or somatic sense. It can involve the auditory, so hearing sounds or music that go from one ear to the other, back and forth. If you're familiar with binaural beat recordings, those work to synchronize the brain hemispheres to help regulate or activate brainwave states. So that can be a tool to use to work with your nervous system so that you can connect and center yourself to be able to handle emotional energies. That's a valuable resource. So we've spoken about letting the energy ground, coming through down to the earth, having your whole body connected so it's circulating all the way through, so that you're not only halfway functioning, but your whole system is able to allow that energy to move through you. We've spoken about verbalizing or writing, having some way to have that energy move through you. When you're writing, it's in a sense going out through your hands, so you're tangibly putting it out there in some way. Singing, it's coming out via your mouth, your vocal expression. So another aspect of working with energy is our spiritual connection. If we feel that we're connected to a higher spiritual realm, then we can have the understanding that we're actually not limited to just ourself as a human being here to receive and process that emotional energy. We can allow it to go up, in a sense, to our spiritual support staff, we could call it. If you think about things like angels, spirit guides, your soul or higher self, or just God, the divine source, you can feel that you are connected to that. That is actually the source of all your energy. And when you have this overload of emotion, you could say to yourself, I'm not alone here. I don't have to handle this just by myself. I can allow that energy to channel up to my soul, up to God, up to the divine, so I don't have to bear this emotional burden all on my own. So I don't have to be overloaded with it. None of us want to be bearing too much weight physically, right? So emotionally, we don't want to carry too much of a load either. And if you're feeling this overload or intense wave of emotion that feels like more than you can emotionally or physically handle at the moment, you can release it up as well as down to the earth. So the earth is supporting you, but your spiritual support team up there, whatever labels or names you use to describe that for yourself, that realm is also there to receive that energy to help you not be overwhelmed. So energy can go down, it can go up, it can go out. We have so many different ways to allow this energy to flow through us so that the emotions don't overwhelm us. And it's helpful to remember these different types of practices, to practice them somewhat proactively, so to build those skills, to develop those energy circuits or channels in a sense, so that it's already kind of pre-programmed within you. So when something stressful happens, you'll naturally be able to allow the energy to flow and move in those ways because you've already kind of pre-paved it. You've developed that circuit or that pathway for the emotional energy to flow. You've opened up that circuit so it's already available when this rush of energy comes. I hope that this brief overview has given you some insight into our energy system and how we can work with it to process emotional shocks or overwhelming emotional experiences. We can practice these different methods of opening up the energy flow, of helping ourselves expand our energy field so we have greater capacity for the energy to move through us or move through our energy field and energy system. These are things that anyone has the capacity to develop. So wherever you're at in your personal growth or development, in whatever stage of life you are in, you can do some of those practices to enhance your capacity to process emotions, to be able to be more centered, more present, more conscious and mindful of how you're responding to those emotions and integrating them into your life. For those that are looking for additional holistic health and healing resources, you can visit my website, which is phinsights.com, phinsights.com. For now, I wish everyone a wonderful day. Namaste.